Good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas to you. May the Creator bless each and every one of you. May when you celebrate, while you're celebrating Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or Festivus or whatever, we're all people. We're all the same. We're all love. And God is love. And the Creator's love. So I'm out here in Alaska. Not really. I'm out here in the frozen tundra of Northeast Ohio, having a cigarette. Because I'm kind of amped up and stressed out about a lot of things going on in the world. And one of them is not that wind chime. Can't move. Can't leave that wind chime. I'm smoking. So I'll get closer. I'll try to speak up. I'm here. I grew up in Avon, Ohio, which is approximately, as the crow flies, maybe 20 miles from downtown Cleveland. And recently, I've started doing a little bit of analysis on the economic engine of my hometown in Sierra Vista, Arizona, where I live. And a lot of it ties directly into Cleveland as well. You see, because the airport in Sierra Vista, the landing strip is extremely large, long, can handle heavy, extremely heavy aircraft that would come from locations, maybe Edwards Air Force Base in California, or fly over Houston and land somewhere in Florida, if you can pick up what I'm putting down there. Well, anyway, doing research and looking into that, I thought of the NASA, because I took a tour of NASA as a child here in Cleveland. It was a field trip. And I went and looked at their mission statement. The original mission statement was how fluids reacted in a vacuum and under pressure and all these other different things. And then I started thinking about the Cleveland Clinic and the Cancer Center and all these different things. I mean, the old Shah of Iran, I think, came to Cleveland to have heart surgery. So we've had some really good doctors here and never really thought about why. Then I looked up the original mission statement for the NASA in Cleveland, and it was about fluids and how they react in vacuums and under pressure and everything. And then I started thinking, well, what is out in the open, in the public eye? It can be a direct result of that. I mean, if even the people from Michigan get this one, you've been to Cedar Point. I wonder how that makes fluid and stuff move, since, we are fluid, mostly fluid. But the whole trying to make sense of how my town has gotten big. When it was little, it was a little farm town, and then it was actually part of the white flight from downtown Cleveland. It was out here. And recently got married to my wife, who also grew up here, and she had a different crowd that she hung out with. But it also comes down to church. A lot of folks at her church work for NASA. It's kind of supported my idea when I was bouncing it off her. If NASA funds all this stuff, right? Are they not more or less a R&D for the Air Force? So it's more or less, if it's not for the Air Force, then who's it for? It's supposed to be for scientists, right? Science. But their applications on preserving life in space. But in order to figure out what it takes to preserve it, are you not also going to test those systems? And what happens if they don't work? Well, you've also exterminated people too, right? You got to think of both sides of the story, folks, both sides of the coin. And the thing is that there's more than two sides to the coin. You're being programmed that there's only two sides in the digital world, okay? If you look at a sine wave, electrical wave, you have positive and negative, you have a common. There's three sides. And where those three things meet, that is your truth. Everything in between the parts where they intersect can be whatever they are, manipulated to be at whatever you want them, they need them to be to perform that function. The only thing that is true is when those three waves intersect each other. I'm applying that same logic into a lot of the things we've been seeing out in YouTube, being broadcast in the corporate media news, where they just read off a teleprompter or whatever the bosses want them to say. I mean, look up MK Ultra, look up Operation Paperclip, look up Operation Mockingbird. I'm coming around to think that World War II really never ended. Folks just redeployed. If Goebbels can manipulate the entire country of Germany on the radio primarily, what would you think if those folks did redeploy here? And some of them did. Mr. Von Braun with his rockets, just as an example. How effective could they be if they had television? Not only sound, but also the face, right? It'd be a very, very effective method of manipulation, making people brain dead, because they're thinking problem, reaction, solution, right? They're getting their information from digital's either it's there or it's not. There's no wave. It's a square wave. It's either positive or negative. It's either positive or negative. Positive, I'm there, and not there. It's sort of like when your TV breaks. There's no indication that it's going to break. It just stops working, right? So it's either on or off. Well, anyway, back to Cleveland and this NASA stuff. The John Glenn Center. How? Oh, science. Oh. Well, anyway, I'm freezing my butt off. I'm about done with the cigarette. I'm going to go inside. I've written a little poem for you. I'll put that up here after I put this one up. All right. Love you all. Peace to all. And Merry Christmas.